tell you what, folks, it has been an interesting week this week. We've had all the weather patterns you could possibly get in a week. So last night it snowed, so I thought I'd bring you out and show you what snow looks like in my garden. This is it. As you can see, wasn't even enough to stay on a wet lawn. So yeah, this is snowy garden with Eli and Kate. Snow and hail, or haily snow, or not nice. So we've not had a week of the most productive gardening per se, actually, in the garden. We've got stuff done though, because you know that thing when you get weather that stops you doing the jobs that you had wanted to get done? It kind of forces you to do the stuff you've been putting off. So I have had just all week to make huge batches of my potting mixes and seed starting mixes so that I'm ready to go. But also, I treated myself, guys. I decided I've had this folding wooden staging in the greenhouse for years and years and years, and I put my big heavy quad grow systems on it every year. And of course, it wasn't designed for that because it was quite flimsy stuff I had, so it started to sag and bend. So I treated myself and I've replaced it with this really heavy duty stuff. Still folding, but it is just much heavier, much thicker than the other stuff. It's also taller as well, which is a bit strange for me. Looks better in the greenhouse because now everything's the same height, because it's one of these heavy duty benches that are at the back. But yeah, so it's going to be good. So I'm looking forward now to getting everything going. But what it has meant is I got to have a wee bit of a reorganise and a shuffle in here, which I'll tell you loads more about next week, because I'm properly processing out my greenhouse and getting it ready for seed starting season. So I'll give you all of those details. But I can't believe this. The reaction to last week's video, the amount of you guys who got super excited about me sterilising the compost in the microwave, and quite a few of you who must obviously be new to us and don't know about the whole why I sterilise my stuff and how I do it. So, just for you, I have gone digging around in the Eli and Kate archives, and I've found you some footage to do 3 different ways to sterilise your compost or your potting soil, seed mixes, that type of thing. But before I show you that then, why would you do it? Quite simply, if I'm using all this stuff for sowing all my little seeds in, especially if you're going to be bringing it indoors or if it's in a greenhouse like this, you want to kill off any nasties in it. So any bugs, fungus, gnats, bane of everyone's life if you ever grow indoors or in a greenhouse, get them killed off. Get all the eggs killed off, the larvae, and eggs of things that overwinter in your compost and your seed mixes. Things for me like my aphids. I want to get all of that killed off before I start. And any nasty pathogens in there, fungus, things like that. Get it killed off before you start so that you're starting on a much better footing. Things like, you've all heard the damping off. Well, if we can do what we can to reduce any of that in our soil to start with, then we've got a much better chance of avoiding it as we go. Because, you know, it is around, but if you're starting off with it in your soil, you have less chance of surviving it. Just look at what a bad year I had last year with my seedlings. So that's why I sterilise all my stuff. Now, I've done it 3 different ways with you guys over the years. The very first way, and possibly the most common way that everyone does it, is the good old boiling water trick. Which is why I just nipped away and got this kettle and got it going. So here's the thing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to be adding the boiling water to this soil. Not all at once, okay? But I'm going to make sure that that boiling water coats all of the soil, so all of it is getting a good drench of boiling water. So it's just a case of just pretend you're in your kitchen baking cookies. Just giving that a good mix in. I've now got this big bucket of super hot soil. What I want to do now is cover it so that it keeps that heat in for as long as possible, because I want to give it time to just kill everything that could possibly be in there. I just use kitchen foil. Can you believe it's empty? I'll be back in a second. Right, tin foil. And all I'm doing is putting that on top and completely covering the surface. And that is actually us. So it's super fine, and we've got the boiling water on there and giving that a really good mix through. We're going to leave it and let it just cool. It doesn't have to be cold to use it, but we want it to be cool enough to touch and not to damage your seeds, and also because we want to give that time to work. The boiling water one then is possibly the most popular one. It's the one most people do that I know of. It's not my favourite one though, if I'm honest. I just don't like the whole saturated potting mix thing. Just my personal thing. So the next method was the one that I have used for the last few years and loved it. And it was to bake it. Quite simply, throw it in the oven and bake it. Or for us, it was throw it in our outdoor barbecue. I try not to go too deep, because the more compost there is, the longer it's going to take to get up to that temperature you want. So I only put in like maybe a couple of inches deep, and then cover it loosely. I've got the original kind of foil covers that come in my trays, but you can just use tin foil if you want and just put it on. So make sure it's loose enough that if that steam really builds up pressure, it can escape if it need to, because you know, you don't want a boom in the oven. Just saying. Okay, so get your oven up to temperature, right? You want to preheat it, and remember, we're going to go hot here. That's the key. You can get proper into this and get really scientific if you want. If you guys are really into that one, you can go and have a wee Google, and you can actually get tables with all the temperatures that will kill all the different things, and it'll say do 30 minutes at this temperature to kill this. I'm keeping it simple here, so I'm going to say go to 85°C for about 20 minutes, okay? And that should pretty much kill everything you want to get rid of. Now, here's another thing that's handy to have. I don't have the fancy cooking thermometers that you can put in the oven and leave there. Instead, I've got these, and I just take it out and check on it, okay? And if it's not up to 85, then I put it back in, and I just keep checking, keeping an eye on it, okay? But what I want to see is it getting up to 85°C, because that's the good temperature that kills the beasties. And quite simply, that's it. 20 minutes then, bring it out, leave it aside and let it cool, because it's going to be really, really hot and you don't want to be getting your hands in there yet. This year though, something a bit different. This year I did it in the microwave for the very, very first time. And I have to say, I think this might now be my favourite method. Obviously, once I get seeds going and I kind of see how I do for any problems and stuff, that'll be when I decide. But so far, given that it is super convenient, super quick, and no fuss, no drama, I'm actually really liking it. So I think I might stick with this method going forward. Really hope so anyway. I've already got a big box load of seed starting mix, microwave to sterilise it. I've just got a couple of bags to go, so I'm just going to do it now and show you. This method isn't my method. It's actually Ronald Shaw. So I'll put a link to his channel in the description. But he told me about this a couple of years ago, and this is how he does it. And now, because we don't have a barbecue in the garden anymore, I was looking for another way to do things. And this actually works okay. I was a bit dubious, but it's okay. So, sandwich bags. You know, these plastic resealable sandwich freezer bags? A couple of the heavy ones of them. And what I do is about half fill it. And I'm folding that over and into another one, folded over. The reason I'm doing this is paranoia, keeping things clean, because I'm in the kitchen. These bags will get really warm as you go, and it is a bit weird and a bit scary, so I've got it doubled up just in case. But 2 minutes, and then I take it out, let it sit, and I get another one going. And then when that one's had 2 minutes, this one goes back in for another 2 minutes, and it lets me get 2 bag loads going, one after the other. You just have to remember which one's been in and which one hasn't. It's not the most exciting. I'm glad I only have to do this a little batch at a time. This one goes back in. I spy with my little eye something beginning with D. Now that one is obviously much hotter because it's had 2 lots of 2 minutes. This is the big box that I'm keeping my Sterilise seed mix in. This way, it's got a lid on it, keeps it nice and safe. It's a clean box, it's only got this in it because there's no point in me just leaving this out in the open in the greenhouse. And also this lid means that the steam that's still in there is trapped in here, so it just keeps going for a tiny bit longer. Hot, hot, hot. Oh, hot. Needless to say, you're not going to be using these bags for food stuff again. No. And make sure you clean up after yourself in the kitchen. Because, you know, as much as I know Kate loves me, I don't want to test it. Very hot. Done? So that's 3 ways to sterilise your seed starter mix, your potting mix, whatever you're doing. First year I showed you to do it with boiling water. The second year I showed you my preferred method, which is putting it in the big barbecue outside, or you could put it in your oven. I just prefer it because you can get more done in one go that way. But this year it's the same idea but just doing it in the microwave. Smaller batches, but you saw it's hot. Done?